Parasite is a 2019 South Korean thriller film directed by Bong Joon-ho. The movie is about a family who shrewdly enters a rich family and enjoys the luxuries until their secret mission is revealed by the former housemaid whom they had falsely kicked out of the house. The movie begins and the viewers are introduced to a family of four. The father is Ki-taek, his wife is Chung-suk, and their children are Ki-young and Ki-woo. They are fighting over fetching Wi-Fi signals so that they could track the pizza delivery message. They work at a pizza delivery store where they prepare boxes. Oh, Ni-dae, Ki-woo's friend named Min-hyuk calls on him to tell him that he has got admission to a foreign university and he is about to fly soon. He tells Ki-woo if he can teach English to student whom he taught earlier. It is because he is going abroad. Since the student is a beautiful girl, he cannot afford to ask other of his friends to teach her, and he only trusts Ki-woo for this job. Min tells him to fake a certificate from his sister who is an artist. After that, he goes to the place where he has to give tuition. The family has hired a maid who has been working in the house for a long time. The family names the park as rich and has a big mansion of their own. The girl to whom Ki-woo has to give tuition is Dae. Ki-woo teaches to her and her mother also sits with them. After a demo class, he is handed the job of teaching. Sometime later, Yeon-gyo searches for an art teacher for her son Da-song. Ki-woo then introduces his sister as his friend to the family and tells them that she is a reputed art teacher who graduated from the U.S. The next day, she comes for an interview at the house too has fabricated her certificates. She impresses the couple and they offer her the job of an art teacher. One night, she gets late while teaching the kid. Yeon-gyo asks their driver to drop her at her house. While she is in the car on the way, she leaves her panties in the car deliberately. The next day, Park finds the panties and he assumes that their driver has an affair with a woman. This makes him infuriated and he fires the driver from his job. Some days, Ki-young introduces her father to the family as her uncle and says he is a competent driver. He is then hired as the family driver. Later, one day, Ki-woo brings peach fruit to the house which causes an allergy to the housemaid named Moon Gwang. This leads her to cough badly and when Ki-woo and the Park come home, they see her coughing. Shrewdly, Ki-woo puts tomato ketchup on the tissue she has thrown into the dustbin and he shows it to Park and says she is tuberculosis. Seeing this, Yeon-gyo is taken aback and she fears that the disease catch her family. Following this, Ki-taek introduces his wife to the family as someone else who does the job of a housemaid. She is then hired as the family housemaid. Now all four of them are working in the same house with a distinct identity. Some days later, the Park family decides to go for a picnic to celebrate the birthday party of their son. As the family leaves for the picnic, Ki-taek and his family enjoy the house behind. They turn the house into a bar and do whatever they like. That evening, it starts raining heavily and suddenly Moon Gwang turns up at the door. She tells them that she has to pick up her things from the house which she left. Chung-suk opens the door for her and she straightaway goes downstairs to the basement. She enters a secret hideout there where she has hidden her ailing husband for the past 4 years. Chung-suk follows her and gets surprised to see all this. The former housemaid then reveals a story of her to Chung-suk. She says some years early the economic conditions of the country were deteriorating and they did not have a single penny with them. Her husband took a loan from a big business firm but he could not return it. And that is why the gangsters are after him to kill him. She says the former owner of the house built this secret place for himself to hide in it in case North Korea attacked their country. The Park family does not know about this secret place. While the Park family shifted to the house, she hid her husband in the basement. She seems worried for her husband because it has been days since her husband is hungry in the basement. She requests to Chung-suk to not tell anyone about her husband and that she give food to him once a week. Nevertheless, she does not agree with her and tells her to take her husband away from the house. She then pleads with her to let her husband live there or else the gangster will kill him. But Chung-suk does not listen to him. In the meantime, while they are listening to their conversation, Chung-suk's husband and children fall into the basement. The former maid discovers that the four are related to one another and that they pretend to be distinct only to do a job. She immediately takes out her phone and captures them together. She threatens them with sharing the video clip with the Park family. She then asks them to go upstairs. Then suddenly, they attack Moon Gwang's husband when she listens to the ring of the telephone. Chung-suk attends to the phone and she finds Yeon-gyo on the other end of the phone. She tells her that they are coming back home in 10 minutes and that they canceled their picnic due to bad weather conditions. They then hurriedly clean the house and dump Moon Gwang and her husband in the basement. During this Chung-suk kicks Moon Gwang to the basement and she falls off the stairs causing her to faint. The rest of the family members hide under a big sofa in the hall as the Park family enter the house. They find the house the same as they left. Later, while Yeon-gyo is having her dinner she tells the story of her son to Chung-suk. She says her son saw someone in the basement on his birthday some years ago, and which causes his mental illness, and he passed out on the spot. She says since that day they never celebrated his birthday at home. At night, their son insists to play in the garden in a tent. However, his parents look after him through a glass window from the hall. When they are sitting on the sofa, Park smells the odor of his driver. He tells his wife that a bad smell comes from their driver. He says he cannot stand the smell that he is smelling now. Taek is listening to their conversation about him and gets upset. As they find a chance, they leave the house. However, Chung-suk stays there as she is the housemaid. It is raining heavily outside. As they reach their home, they see water everywhere. Their house was filled with water and their belongings are floating on the water. They flee from there because the water is rising, and they reach a communal shelter where hundreds of other people are staying whose houses have water in them. On the other hand, Moon Gwang passes away in the basement due to head injuries. The next day, the Park family arranges a birthday party for their son on the lawn of their house. They invite elite people to the party. Ki Woo and Ki Young are also invited to the party because they are the teachers of their children. Ki Taek is also invited to run errands. Ki Taek drives Yeon Gyo to a mall for shopping. She is talking to her friends about yesterday's rain while the Taek family lost their house due to it. He observes that Yeon Gyo is placing her finger across her nose due to a bad odor coming from his body. He feels it is inappropriate and he seems angry. At home, he is told to wear a strange dress along with Park. On the other hand, Ki Woo and Dae are alone in a room and they are in love with each other. He feels that he cannot fit in with the elite class people. He is holding the lucky stone which his friend had given to him. He then decides to kill the former maid and her husband in the basement without informing his family. In the basement, her husband grabs Ki Woo instead and hits him with that stone. He then takes a knife from the kitchen and walks toward the lawn where the party is going on. He stabs Ki Young in the chest. He then turns toward Chung-suk, who manages to evade his attack and kills him instead. The party turns into a terrifying scene and everyone is seen running blindly. During this moment, he sees Dae, who is carrying Ki Woo on her back. Seeing this, the Park asks Taek to drive the car to take his son to the hospital, but he refuses to do so as his daughter is struggling with death. He throws the keys in his direction, but they fall on the Moon Gwang's husband. As downs to take the keys, he smells the bad odor and places his fingers against his nose. This makes Taek feels uncomfortable and he picks up the knife and stabs the Park. And after that, he runs away. After 1 month, Ki Woo opens his eyes to the hospital bed. The Ki Taek family is arrested and presented in court. Some months later, the Park family sells the house to a German family. Afterward, Ki Woo sees the house from afar to remind himself of the good memories. He sees a bulb blink and he discovers that it is his father who is communicating with him and that he is still alive. Taek writes a message to his son and says he takes food from the fridge at night as the family is mostly outside. He writes to his father that one day he will buy that mansion after he gets rich. And this is an unrealistic thing for the middle class people. And the movie ends there. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe so you can stay updated with our daily movie recaps.